Let me go ahead and welcome everybody to the Condor Chat, Ventana Wildlife Society's The Condor Chat, which is held on the last Thursday of the month, typically. Most of you have been here before, but some of you haven't. And I was just kind of thinking about describing it to someone new, and it's really a field note. It's sort of a video blog of field notes in a way. You get to hear directly from the people working in the field, handling, trapping, administering vaccines, providing non-lead ammunition, and so forth. You know, the ones that are out there doing this work are right here on this panel, and we do this every month. And like we like to say, we keep it real and just tell it like it is. And these birds tell their own story. They're very unique, and we've all kind of fallen in love with them in our own way. And some of them, in particular, some birds more so than others. And today is, I think, one of those days where we're going to get to really highlight one bird in particular, Iniko, who's having a fifth-year birthday. So anyway, I just want to make one quick announcement for next month before we get into that. Super excited. We're going to have our film Condor Canyon broadcast nationally on public television starting on May 31st. So on May 29, our next regularly scheduled Condor Chat, we're going to have a panel of folks who put that film together present to you next month. So be sure to join us for that, and we'll give a lot more details as to how the film can be viewed and also purchased. So with that, let me turn it over to Joe Burnett, Condor Program Manager, and introduce the rest of the gang.
Thank you for joining us again on another installment of the Condor Chat. Yeah, so we got a lot going on. April was a busy month. A lot of birthdays in April on the Condor front, and actually on the staff too. I had a birthday. Mike had a birthday. Yeah, and then of course we're here to celebrate a little bit of a famous bird, kind of a bird that's kind of a big deal. We'll get into that in a little bit. Um, but Iniko, happy birthday, Iniko. Can't believe it. Yeah, I won't. I'll put a little bit of a teaser out there. We got some good stuff to celebrate Iniko's birthday. Meredith together an amazing video that we're going to watch here in a little bit. But like our other updates, we're also going to give you a little update on Big Sur, what's happening, some updates from the crew on trapping and handling. We'll give you the latest on the population, some rookie updates from Simeon, latest on the 2024 chicks. We have some exciting news there. And then, of course, 2025 nesting status. And then, of course, Mike will hit the Q&A at the end where you get to ask a lot of questions. So, yeah, put those questions in the comments and we will get to them. Yeah, I can't say enough about the great people I get to work with, an incredible crew. Today we have Darren to wave to everybody, and we have Danae here, two stellar biologists, Condor biologists. Kara is not with us, but actually Kara put a lot of work into today's presentation, so let's give her a shout out for sure. And of course, we have Mike Stake, our non-lead program manager and all-around bird guru. Also Derek Whitmer, who assists Mike with the non-lead outreach. Our awesome Condor intern, Rachel Regera, is down at San Simeon. And GIS specialist, Evan the Beast McGreeth, who will be featured in today's video. For those that remember the Iniko saga, will remember Evan's effort when we did something with Iniko. And of course, Tim Huntington, actually photographed this month, believe it or not. He's right there on the right in the fog. You can almost kind of see him. Tim's very aloof. He doesn't like us taking his photo, but we snuck a photo in here of Tim. He's probably cringing right now. We love you, Tim. And then, of course, in the center there, Dr. Amy Wells, who we can't all say enough. She does so much incredible work and volunteering for us. She comes up and vaccinates the birds, fixes the birds, looks at birds that are hurt, just all around awesome individual. So definitely want to give Amy a shout out and a really cool photo. You can see the birds up behind her, perched in the tree above her, up above. Yeah, and wildflowers are out up there. And of course, big thanks to our stellar team of volunteers that help us track condors. And then also we have our Explore viewers who help us watch the cams. So it takes a village, as we always say. So thank you, everyone. Another awesome crew shot here. Darren and Danae with the folks from Charles Paddock Zoo. They came up to help us. Charles Paddock Zoo, for everyone, is down in the Tuscadero, near our San Simeon site. Dr. Cynthia Stringfield and Crystal Crimchin came up to help us do some. Cynthia was giving vaccines similar to what Amy does, Dr. Amy Wells, and came up to assist there. We had Rachel there. We had some of the Pinnacles crew there. There's Aaron in this photo. So really great day. They had a really good success. We're going to talk more about that later, but great shot. Again, lots of people, lots of support. Can't say enough. And again, thank you to our cam viewers. They just get the most amazing shots. I don't even know how they did this on the cam, but this is off our Condor cam, believe it or not. This looks like a shot from somebody's camera. But yeah, pretty awesome. So just Newbie 16 and Kelly Loves Cats are two of our top posters on. They post for us a lot on the Explore Cam chat, and God, we really rely on a lot of the stuff they see. So big thank you to them and the other folks posting on our cams. It's a huge, huge help. Happy birthday, Iniko. I can't believe it. Darren, can you believe she's 5 years old? I mean, I feel like it was just yesterday we were watching her on the cam as a chick.
I don't know. I both can believe it and also cannot because yeah, the Iniko saga was intense and amazing and awesome. So yeah, now that she's 5 years old, it's quite a milestone. That much time has passed since her hatch, the Dolan Fire, all of it.
I know it dates us a little bit there, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I like the photo on the bottom left because that was the photo that kind of introduced everyone to Iniko when she was inside the nest with the explore.org cam that was able to zoom in. We got that was by far, that nest cam was one of the best we ever had in terms of really seeing intimate details of how the birds were rearing their chick. And of course, with two of the greatest pair ever, Redwood Queen and her mate Kingpin, they are basically Condor royalty, as everyone knows. So she was raised by two of the top birds in the flock, and I think everybody was vested heavily in Iniko, and she kind of symbolized, that kind of rise. We had the fire come through, and things looked really, really bleak, and then she literally rose from the ashes. So we all were just riding the wave of Iniko, and we still are. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. This photo on the right that Tim took very recently is her current state. And you can see she's starting to get a little orange on that head, which means she is turning into an adult. And her next chapter looks pretty exciting. And we're, Darren and Danae today, we'll talk about some potential there with Iniko, maybe who she's looking at pairing up with and stuff like that.
So is today the date or is today the actual date?
No, her birthday is tomorrow. We're doing a little pre-celebration, Mike. Good point.
Okay, so I still have some time to get a gift.
Yeah, you have time to get a gift.
Okay.
Although she said sorry, she forgot your birthday. She said the card's in the mail. She missed mine too, so don't feel so bad,
It's all right.
So Meredith put together this amazing video. It's Iniko's journey. She's one of the rare birds we have footage literally from the beginning to now. And we have a lot of footage from back when the fire was happening. And the video kind of really tells the story. So I'm going to go ahead and play it. It's really good. She did a really great job. So I hope you all enjoy it here. All right, here we go.
Hello, welcome everybody.
This is our most famous pair.
Kingpin and redwood queen. This was right before the egg hatched. You guys can see my mouse. You can see the pip site there. And this was our first view of the chick right here. So this is 167, has just hopped in the nest, and he's catching his first glimpse of the new prize in the nest here. It's kind of cool. He's an awesome dad. I mean, Amy and Darren can speak to it. He's almost, I guess you could almost call him a control freak a little. This is the chick starting to play with sticks for the first time. This is from today.
That's so cute.
It's really cute. This is great. Condor chick versus hummingbird.
Oh, wow. Oh, my.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I'm going to give a Condor Fire update. Obviously, everyone wants to hear what's going on.
As you may know, the Big Sur Sanctuary was overrun by the Dolan Fire. We have to rebuild it. We have to save the condor for future generations.
Not to say that the flames couldn't have, in a lower nest like this one, it couldn't reach the chick. So we're remaining optimistic, but we're also being realistic. We know the redwoods can offer protection, but sometimes in some fire situations it can't. So it might be a week or two before we find out about Iniko. The biggest news this week, Iniko is alive. We haven't seen Dad yet. Kingpin has not been seen. So I wanted to start with an Iniko update. It's a single mom raising an Iniko now, redwood queen. Definitely, the bird has had a lot of curveballs thrown. 729 AK Ninja, a young breeding age male, not yet paired, showed up at Iniko's nest. I had a bad feeling initially. Anytime a male shows up and dad's not around, it's probably not good. The fact that Iniko was not progressing worried us. And then when we noticed the limp, we communicated with all of our partners, the zoos, Fish and Wildlife Service, and it was decided that we should evacuate Iniko. The hike out was harrowing. It took everyone to have a hand on this kennel to make sure it was okay. And it's a freshly burned area, very loose. Evan, the beast on our crew, he took it upon him to hike that bird out, so it was pretty cool. And we're all just trying our best just to make sure he doesn't slip. Iniko made it safe and sound to LA Zoo. So fortunately, they did a full exam, and the leg injury was just an injury. There were no breaks, no fractures. Imagine Iniko went through some heavy-duty trauma. I mean, just the fact that she survived that fire, she lost her dad, she got attacked by a ninja, and then even though our efforts to evacuate her were in goodwill, she didn't probably see it that way. She probably didn't know what was going on. So she went through a lot. Yeah, so the biggest exciting news we have to report this month is obviously the return of Iniko. We've all been anxiously awaiting her return, but she is kind of our Halloween queen. So Iniko's journey came to a full circle from the time we rescued her, where she survived the fire, the rescue, to release. It was really cool to see her make the full circle journey. Very confident young bird, which is what we want. So yeah, she's bringing along those wild traits of redwood queen. I think she's channeling mom a little bit, carrying some of that swagger, that mom has. We're a little emotional to see her finally take that first leap back to freedom.
I get choked up every time.
Awesome. Loved it.
Yeah, now I have lost.
So many people are saying I relived it, and I feel you. Absolutely. Well done, Meredith.
I know I did too. That was pretty good. Okay, let me get back to the. Can you guys see?
Yeah, and while you're working on that, it's also neat that the entire piece was put together using your voice and all of our Condor chats. Many of our Condor chats. Just brilliant idea.
Yeah, that came together nice. That Iniko journey, I definitely got choked up again watching it. It was just, I just forgot what a roller coaster ride that was. Yeah, just seeing Evan carrying that kennel, and I mean, it just looked. I just remember because we actually did lose two chicks to the fire that year and other nest sites, and so we were really thinking Iniko didn't make it. I mean, I was definitely preparing for the worst. So I think when she did, it kind of just boosted everybody. Kind of can't even talk about it. I think I gotta move on. Need some help, Darren. Um, yeah, but yeah, I think you remember it. It's just
Yeah. Yeah, I think the most like what I remember most is just kind of the initial shock of everything. Like there's no way to there's no way any of us could have like fully comprehended what happened from the fire and with the Nico and all the like just all the birds at that time. I mean, it took, I feel like it took us a long time to find out what actually happened to each bird, but really just in terms of like a mental and emotional perspective, just to really like kind of come to grips with what happened and yeah, the birds that made it out, and then yeah, just like the awesome survival stories we have with the Nico, along with yeah the losses we had and those sad stories as well. But yeah, I think Nico's story and her journey to this point, reaching 5 years old, is kind of like a pretty um, I think it shows the Dolan Fire saga hasn't ended, but we're also we've kind of turned the corner as well. And so, where things were dark and sad at one time, now it's like we're seeing all the birds that made it through and just how awesome they're doing. And so that's really been a bright light sort of to end things or as we're moving on from it, continue moving on from it.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Yeah, because yeah, I remember we lost nine birds from the get-go, and then we added one later, a 10th.
Hmm.
And then when we added those nestlings, it got us up to 12. And
Hmm.
yeah, that was a big hit at that time. And it was and then we had a rough year on the lead poisoning front. So yeah, 2020 was a rough year, not only on COVID and everything us humans were going through, but it was a wallop of a year. And to see where we've come since is pretty unbelievable. And again, it goes back to our supporters. I think we couldn't have done it without that. That's when the chats started. That's kind of, I think those really helped in talking to
Hmm.
everybody and sharing this, what we were going through. I mean, I think it was pretty darn cool.
Hmm.
And Joe, could you recap real briefly just the evolution of Iniko's name? When did we know this bird as Iniko? Was Iniko named like before the fire or after the fire? Do you remember how that came about?
Yeah, that was after the fire. Kelly can jump in. I think it was, yeah, Kelly, you probably remember the exact details, but it was after the fire, and then we had the naming. Didn't we have a naming contest, I believe?
Yeah, exactly. We asked for suggestions from donors, and I think we had over 600 offered. It was amazing, and I remember we hid the name of the people who suggested it, so there wouldn't be any influence there. And then the staff went around and said, I like this name, I like this name, and we kind of talked about it. And then ultimately the group chose Iniko because of the meaning, born during troubled times. It just seems so fitting.
Yeah, it was hit the mark for sure. All right. Yeah, I can't say enough about Iniko, but you know what? Got the rest of the flock to talk about today, and a lot of exciting things happening. Big Sur update. I think Tim captured it pretty well here with this beautiful photo, sunset shot. Love Tim's photography. He really captures the magic that we all love when we go out and see these birds. I have a few photos here. I'm just gonna kind of cruise through them. The other exciting part right now, speaking of renewal and spring, and we have wildflowers exploding up at the Big Sur site. It's one of our favorite times of year. After the harsh winter comes the beauty of spring. So yeah, we're seeing it in its full splendor right now. The poppies and the lupins are just, you can just smell them up there. You can't even, it's like overwhelming, the lupin. It's pretty amazing. Good old man fog comes in and isolates itself and just creates its own weather. And you get these really cool views of the mountaintops. They almost look like sky islands. Pretty amazing views. And then more of Tim's awesome shots. Got 1170 here and 1204, 1104, and Mystery Bird on the left there. I don't know who that is, but kind of nice to see that angle without the tag on it sometimes. But can't say enough about Tim's photos. It really captures the beauty of the birds. There's a great shot up on the left. Really great photo of juvenile plumage, before they transition, and they really stand out. And on the right there, bird, speaking of the fire and Dolan Fire, that snag was created during the Dolan Fire, and now it serves as a great perch. Condors kind of like those when the trees are burned and have those bare open branches, a little easier to get on and navigate. But as you can see, there's a thin part of that branch that could probably break at any moment. And we've seen it happen. But yeah, those trees actually still serve a purpose even after they're burned, especially for condors. And of course, little shout out to Mike Tyner, one of our former biologists, his bench up there, up on the ridge on one of these beautiful fogged in days at sunset. You can see off in the distance the island. The mountain ranges are islands, and just get some magical moments up there. Put a big shout out to Mike there. And the cabin is coming along. The bathroom's coming together. Probably the most important room in the house, right? And the rest of it too. And yeah, we're working on it, just whittling away at it, and hoping to have this wrapped up by June, and have the crew start using it. And we really, really are looking forward to it. So things are coming along really well. We are in the final home stretch. All right, trapping and handling, Danae and Darren, you had your hands full, literally, the last couple weeks.
Yeah, it's been fun though. Trapping's always a ride. Definitely with highs and lows. Nothing too low, but sometimes you sit in the blind there all day and you're just looking at the birds, looking at the looking at the trap, and they just won't go in it. So, but you can't do anything about it. You just got to sit there and hope. But yeah, other times you get great days like Kara had, and then Rachel recently at San Simeon too, with yeah, birds go in and they're the birds that you want to get change transmitters or give vaccines, whatever it is we're doing. And yeah, those days are really exciting. And of course, it all culminates in the handling day, which is yeah, just always an amazing experience. We see these birds usually distantly when we're working, so being able to hold them like in hand, see them up close, give them the physical checks and everything is such a special experience. And yeah, so I think I don't know, I can keep going on here, but feel free, Joe and Danae, to chime in too whenever you'd like. But yeah, we had a handling in Big Sur last week where we handled 8 birds. And one of the birds we highlighted here is one of our 2024 fledglings, Condor 1315, who was 550 and 652 Ferdinand's chick. So yeah, we don't know the sex of this chick yet, but they got a blood drawn for lead tests like we always do, among other things, and then also a genetics test. So that will tell us the sex, and then also the confirmed that 550 and 652 are that chick's or that fledgling's parents, or not. We'll see. There might be some fun there. But yeah, also given this bird their first tag and transmitter, and it's nice to yeah see that new blue tag with a 15 on it. That was a really cool moment.
Yeah, always nice to get those untags
Hmm.
tags.
Shout out to our Explore viewers too, who are helping
Yeah.
us identify kind of who these untags are. They're taking a lot of really great notes on their observations when they see a parent feed and any kind of distinct wing markings that birds have or molting feathers and things like that. So that's why we were able to put a permanent tag on this bird, because we knew who they were just based on their molt pattern, and a primary that they have on their left wing that was a little broken off on the end. So yeah, it was awesome to not have to put a temporary tag and get to put that permanent blue 15 on there. Pretty cool to see blue tags in the flock again, too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Danae. Yeah. Couldn't do so much without our explore.org viewers. They help us out tremendously.
Yeah, and HPAI with these, every bird we handle, we get closer to that full vaccination of the flock. 80% have at least one dose, and over half are fully vaccinated with 2 doses. So getting closer and closer. It's takes a little time to get that second dose into some of these birds. So they're always sometimes reluctant to go right back in the trap. So it takes a little while. Yeah, and our 2025 plans are just to continue with what we're doing, trying to get the untags tagged up and get them vaccinated as a priority because they have no protection and they're younger, so they're a little more vulnerable. And we want to make sure they get their West Nile vaccination. So yeah, and right now, because it is breeding season, we're being very careful with not trapping breeding age females just as a precaution. And that's something we've always do just in general, whether it's for HPI or just trapping in general. We just don't like to handle females during the breeding season. It's just a good idea. All right, population, we're at 111. We did lose one condor, Pinnacles bird 970. The necropsy is pending. That brings us to 2 deaths for 2025. And last year at this time, I think we were about around probably lower than that, but we only had 4 last year, so hopefully we stay below that 4. We do have 4 condors missing in the wild that are likely deceased. So we always got to factor that in, but we won't count them until they're technically missing for at least 12 months before we'll add them as an official death. And of course, we always have condors of concern, 219, 1003, 1011, 1079. Yeah, we're watching those birds closely, and we have some updates on a couple of those birds. But yeah, things are going good. The rookies are doing good. The wild fledges, the 9 wild fledges from last year are looking great. We're seeing them and trying to get tags on them. So yeah, all in all, between 2024 and so far in 2025, we're having a good year. So just hope for more of that. Yeah, and again, in memory of 970, maybe Danae can speak to this bird. She spent probably more time with this bird over at Pinnacles.
Yeah, 970 was one of the first birds I released from Pinnacles. So she was a captive bred bird. She was, yeah, really, really awesome bird. I really loved her and was just really excited to see her start nesting out on the coast. Last year was her first attempt at nesting. She was in a trio with 631 and 745. And we don't think that egg ever hatched, but this year she paired up with 168 after we lost 208 at the end of last year. So she definitely kind of moved up in terms of picking a mate. She paired with a really experienced male, the oldest male in our flock. So I think we were all really excited to to see her kind of become a mom and come into her own. And unfortunately, yeah, her death just kind of happened really suddenly. So we're not exactly sure. Again, we suspect lead poisoning, but we won't know for sure until we get the results back. And yeah, she was a really cool bird and kind of, like we say, it's hard to lose every bird and for different reasons. And I think this one for me was hard because she was just kind of hitting her stride and just entering that breeding population for the first time. So it's really, really tough to see, and I will touch on it in our nest update. But unfortunately, that will likely mean that their nest will fail. But yeah, we'll give more updates on that later.
Thank you, Danae. All right, we have the San Simeon update.
Yeah, I can chime in here. But yeah, huge shout out to Rachel, who's holding things down at San Simeon still through these past couple months and into the summer. And yeah, from hearing from her, the the 2024 rookies are doing great. Yeah, still coming to the site pretty regularly. These are some great shots. This one here on the, I guess, left for folks viewing from our trail camera. Got a nice interaction there between, I think it's one of our 2024 rookies, and it looks like maybe a rookie from 2023, 1124, I think. Um, and then, yeah, Rachel got this great shot of Penny, 219 and 538's chick from a couple of years ago, nuzzling and sort of wrestling with 1233 on top of the blind. So yeah, Rachel was going in with plans to watch the birds from the blind here, and they were right there on top of it for her. And sometimes that happens. You just gotta sort of observe from there. But yeah, they're doing really well. They're starting. We don't have a map this presentation, but yeah, they're starting to explore a little more. Starting to lead the site a little more. But that's the San Simeon site's still pretty much their home base. Yeah, and speaking of 1229, again, some great photos here from Rachel. Yeah, that bird made a visit down to San Simeon and kind of hung out, made some friends with the 24 rookies. And yeah, she's a very I don't know, I love seeing Penny. We see her pretty frequently at all the sites, and she's very gregarious, like just very social, loves to like just hang out and interact with other birds. And so yeah, it's always kind of a, I mean, it's great seeing a condor anytime, but seeing Penny it just kind of makes our day.
Yeah, she was getting fed by 219, like literally right before they nested again.
Yeah. Yep.
I
Yep.
mean,
Hey, I mean, look, the smart young birds get that free food while they can, from the parents. So, yeah, no, she's awesome, very savvy, but yeah, definitely becoming more independent too.
yeah, and then the photo on the right.
Yeah, that's 1226, who's kind of been exploring a little bit more than some of the other rookies. So I think that was taken near the San Simeon campground. So they've been kind of exploring some other areas in the broader San Simeon area, which is pretty cool to see. And then I think 1208 was with them as well. That's another bird that's kind of been doing, that bird did like an
Yeah, right
exploratory
here.
flight up north. Yeah. So they're kind of buds. They're hanging out together and exploring and slowly expanding the range a little bit. So yeah, it's cool to see them in other places now.
Yeah, I mean, for folks down in that area, get up around San Simeon campground and you get a chance, you might see the birds flying up around some of those bigger pine trees and up on the ridges there. All right. Official names for the 2025 wild fledges.
Yeah, I can start us off and then I'll pass it off to Darren. But yeah, so we reached out to Linda Yamane of the Rumsenaloni tribe, and she gave us some awesome names for these four fledglings that are in the Rumsenaloni language. So we have a few birds that have names from a couple different tribes. It was a cohort a couple years ago where we had names that were offered from different tribes, local tribes in the area. And so we wanted to keep that tradition going and have some more names for our wild fledges from last year. So yeah, we had four hen tags to name, which is a good number. And so the first one was 1309. That's 729 and 626's chick. And that chick is Wasak Utis, which means condor number 2. We wanted to carry on the legacy of the name Wasek, and I should say Linda was really a big proponent of that too, because that name means a lot to her, and we totally agree. We were all really saddened with 968's passing, and the name he carried the name Wasek, and so now we will have another condor in the flock that is named the Rumsen word for condor, which is Wasek. So condor number two basically will be 1309 Wasek Utis. And then 1315, who is our first tagged chick now for the 2024 cohort, will be Sumen, which means redwood. And that we just felt it was a super fitting name for this particular chick since we had the redwood cam running on their nest, and you all got to watch them kind of grow up in real time and explore that giant, beautiful redwood cavity that's pictured there on the left. So we felt that name was really perfect for 1315. And yeah, that is 550 and 652's chick from 2024. And then Darren, you want to do the other two?
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, 1317, Linda named Inust, which means traveler, and we thought this name was really appropriate, and we were talking with Linda about Condor 171, her story, and then also just the tragic loss that we experienced with her not too long ago. And yet 1317 being another one of 209's chick, but this time with 209 and 881 from 2024, we thought it would be appropriate, and Linda thought so too, to have the name Traveler back in the flock for this bird specifically. So yeah, we're really honored to have another Traveler in the flock, and yeah, in use. Yeah, really special to have another bird with that name in the Rumsen Ohlone language. Yeah, and then lastly here we have 1318, who's named Soto Iswin, which means Soto's child, and Soto is Condor 962. This was her first chick with 470 Fuego. And yeah, just really cool to have a female like on her first nesting attempt. You have just like have a successful nest, have a chick. I mean, it's really cool to see that. And yeah, Sato's a great mom. 470 is a great dad as well. So yeah, being able to honor Sato and her yeah, just success in raising a chick on her first go. Yeah, and naming this chick Sato Iswin, Sato's child, just means a lot. And yeah, Linda thought so too. And yeah, thank you, Linda, again.
Yeah, those are wonderful names. Great name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can continue here with a quick update on 1003, Katie's bird. So yeah, a while back we had noticed this bird was perching with their wings kind of drooped, like holding them out and away from their body, which is sometimes a symptom that like of lead poisoning or that something was wrong, maybe an injury. So it's a bird we've been monitoring closely and just trying to get eyes on whenever we can and trap if possible, if he was to go in a trap. That hasn't happened yet. We haven't been able to trap him, but we are still getting pretty good observations of him. He's continuing to come to the Big Sur Condor Sanctuary. He's going over to Pinnacles National Park as well. He's still holding his wings out in a concerning way and away from his body, but we are seeing some signs of potential improvement. We've noticed when he's around other birds, it looks like he's holding his wings normally, maybe trying to disguise what's going on. But still, when he's isolated and by himself, we'll kind of see him hold those wings out. So other than that, he's still pretty alert. He's feeding, he's flying well. So there are some encouraging signs there. But yeah, he's a bird we're hoping to trap and check out soon. And yeah, just keep a close eye on for now.
Yeah, I can give a little update on 994 Hawking. We were able to trap him after the Pinnacles crew observed that photo on the left there was taken at Pinnacles. They observed kind of what looked like something sticking out of the side of his face. And so we weren't sure if he had gotten like a branch or something impaled in his face or a piece of glass or something. We couldn't really tell exactly what it was. And it didn't really seem to be bothering him. He was still feeding normally and wasn't, getting harassed by the other birds. He was still, maintaining his place in the hierarchy. So we definitely just wanted to be able to trap him and get a good look at him. So we were able to capture him at our Big Sur sanctuary and handle him last week on the 15th. And really grateful to Dr. Amy Wells, who has been coming to handlings to vaccinate birds for HPAI. It's really nice having a vet there for these kind of scenarios where we were able to get 994 in hand and she could give him a full physical look over. And it actually turned out that that weird little thing sticking out of his face was just a big scab, essentially, like a big chunk of dead flesh that was coming off. Kind of gross, but it was actually really great because it wasn't something stuck in his face, which would have required, probably more extensive treatment. So it was actually just an old injury that had scabbed over and healed, and now the old scab was coming off. So we were able to just kind of cut the rest of it off so it wasn't bothering him or getting, snagged on anything. And he was the injury underneath had already completely healed over. So he was good to be released back into the wild. He got his HPAI vaccine. And yeah, it was kind of a sigh of relief of like, oh, we were worried about this bird and he was actually totally fine, which is, sometimes the exception to the rule with condors, but they love to just prove us wrong whenever we get super worried about them. Sometimes they like to just prove us wrong and be like, nope, everything's fine. So we were pretty relieved that he was okay. And he got a new tag. You can see his vinyl tag in that photo on the right was looking pretty beat up. So he got a new vinyl tag and a new transmitter and all that good stuff and sent off with a clean bill of health.
Yeah, and what happens behind the scenes is we have to coordinate in case it was a severe injury. He did have a actual impalement. We have to contact Oakland Zoo. We had to have everything prepared as if we were ready to move him. So it's just so much extra planning that thank God we didn't need, but you do have to be ready to to have all those ducks in a line in case you do need to get them up there. So big shout out to Oakland. They were ready to roll and they said, bring them up. We are ready to take them in. And yeah, just really, really awesome to see everybody, obviously Amy coming up, but yeah, it was really great to see everybody rally around this bird. And yeah, and it was just the condors like to grab each other on their jowl, on their cheeks, the cheek skin. And it's kind of a really harsh kiss, I guess, but yeah, they sometimes will actually grab and tear that out. And it looked like that's what happened. There was like a flap where it cut it and it just didn't heal back on. And it just it almost looks like on that left photo, almost looked like a piece of splinter, but it was just this hard, crusty black scab. So pretty gross, but Amy was having fun with, she was like Dr. Pimple Popper figuring out how to get that thing off there. So it was pretty wild. We were all going, ooh, ooh.
I think it just makes them look tough.
Yeah. Well, he was probably going to his buddies going, what? They're like, you got something on your face. He's like, what? I don't see it. But anyway, yeah, so that was a relief. Yeah, we're happy to have that guy back out there. All right, nesting updates. So
I'll start us off. Yeah, we have a few updates I think that were different from last time. So on the Big Sur front, we don't have any new nests to report. We do have the 646 and 892 nest failure, which I believe we reported last chat, but maybe not. So that nest did fail at the egg stage pretty early on in the incubation cycle. So again, we're hoping that 646 and 892 will lay another egg, or I guess 646 will lay another egg this year. They're definitely still checking out their nest, which we will talk about. But we do have a camera set up on that nest now. So if they do try again, that will be awesome to have the live camera on it. They definitely seem interested. So we're literally any day now, we're all kind of holding our breath for that one. And then 190 and 650, it seems like their nest is still going strong. Their chick was supposed to hatch on April 3rd, and so we do suspect that that egg has hatched, but it's a nest that, unfortunately, unlike their one that they nested in last year, this one's kind of in a different spot, and the nest tree itself is in a really dense clump of vegetation. It was one that we had a nest camera set up on that Wiley fledged out of that nest, 1174. And we had a Nest camera on it before, but you can't really see anything with the Nest cam, so we decided not to put the camera on that nest this year. Um, and then 219 and 538 are still going strong. They would have hatched their chick on April 11th, and we do suspect that that egg is hatched. They're nesting in a nest that 219 has used before, and so we know where the nest is, and we can see the outside of the nest, but we can't actually see into it. It's a cliff cavity, and so we can see them going in and out, but we can't actually see the chick right now. Once the chick gets a little bit bigger and it starts moving around more, we might be able to see it kind of peek its head out of the opening of the cavity. So we're, anxiously waiting for that, but that'll probably be, another month or two before we would see that. So we can't totally confirm it hatched just yet. And then 574 and 1006 is another super remote nest. This is a new pairing and a new nest that they're using. And so we have an idea of where the nest location is, but we can't actually physically get to where the nest is. So again, not one that we can see visibly, but we do suspect that that egg hatched on the 12th. It seems like it based on the parents' movements, and usually we're using GPS for that, but also radio telemetry as well. And then the last one on here, I touched on it a little bit before, but 168 and 970. Unfortunately, with 970's passing, it's possible that this nest has failed, but we actually don't think it has yet, because 168 has been seen at the nest site. And he does have a GPS, and it hasn't sent in data for a long time, which it was a little bit odd because that GPS should not have failed yet, but it makes sense if he was incubating in a cavity without any sunlight, because those tags are solar powered. You can actually see in that photo there of 970, there's that little black solar panel on the kind of dark brown tag there. And that is what allows that GPS to send in data points. So we got a few data points the other day that just randomly came in, and they showed 168 possibly going to feed on a carcass on the coast and going right back to the nest site. So if the nest was no longer active, it would be a little bit weird for him to be so dedicated to being at the nest site. So we do think the egg is still active, but we don't know if it's hatched or not. We don't know if he's still just incubating an egg that maybe isn't fertile. We have no idea. So it's really hard to know until things get a little farther along. It is possible that the egg would have hatched on the 17th, but that chick unfortunately can't really thermoregulate or regulate its own body temperature for about a month or so after it hatches. And so for one parent to be constantly on the nest for a whole month is kind of asking a lot. But if anyone could do it, 168 could. I mean, he has tons of experience raising chicks. He's a super dedicated dad. He's the oldest bird in our flock. So again, it's one of those things where we're all kind of saying it's potentially failed or potentially going to fail, but we all hope that he proves us wrong, and condors do that all the time. So it's a toss-up at this point, but we're just trying to be realistic that it probably won't make it, but we hope that it will.
Yeah, it's definitely, these birds surprise us all the time. Yeah, and real quick, back to 219, when last time he nested at this particular nest was with 231. Darren remembers, and that's where we evacuated Eva, who was 1030, similar age to Iniko, that same nest year. And it was because of the fire, they chose just to get that bird out of the nest before the fire burned over that area. So Pinnacles was involved in that evacuation, and we went over and assisted, and we got that bird down to LA Zoo. And after she was pulled from the wild, they determined Eva was really valuable genetically. So she stayed with the captive breeding program. Because after she was brought in, her mom, 231, disappeared and her genetic value went up. So they kept her behind to produce more birds for the wild. So a little backstory there. Sorry. And as Danae touched on, we have a new nest cam. We're hoping it's going to be an active nest cam here pretty soon, if 646 can give us another egg. Really good news. The pair that we're talking about are rock stars in their own right. 646 Kodama, she has a really cool story. She's Redwood Queen's offspring, and she got a wing injury in the nest, and we had to evacuate her to LA Zoo. It was ended up being a minor wing injury, but she recovered in captivity, and we re-released her later. So she's kind of a half wild, half released chick. And of course, Vincent is a full wild chick. That was 574 and 538's first chick, and just blows me away that these birds are all adults now, and just now they're like the established, they're like these rock star level birds. So yeah, just really cool full circle stuff. But you can see these images again that Tim took that just capture the beauty of these birds magnificently. I mean, look at those photos. I mean, that's unbelievable. And now we have the nest, which is a gnarled redwood top. If this tree could talk and tell its story, it would tell the good one because it looks like it's been burned, broken in half, and now it's created this wonderful spot for the condors to call home. And as Danae said, the first egg failed back in, I think it was at the beginning of April, right? Because we determined the condors need at least a couple weeks to recycle an egg. And the last time she did this, actually, Kodama's done this before. Back in 2019, her first egg failed, and then she recycled and laid in early May, and or maybe it was the first week of May, and that chick hatched 1003. Katie's bird hatched on July 4th. So we know she can go this late. So we're feeling pretty good that she's probably going to lay another egg just based on that past experience. But again, she may not, but we're feeling pretty good just the fact that she's done it before. So pretty exciting. It's an interesting tangle to look at, and I added some photos to kind of show how they go in because it's hard to see where the redwood cavity. We're kind of looking at the tree from the side because the angles are limited. It's really rough terrain, obviously, and just to get this camera in the first place was a miracle. And this kind of shows, if you're watching the cam, the photo up there on the top left, the first photo shows where they kind of perch and then they drop down. They kind of slide down that branch, that little knifey looking branch, and then they drop in, and you'll see there's Vincent on the right, kind of perch, actually standing in the cavity. And for those that I think Tim, we had photos from the last time they nested at this tree, not him, but when she was with 204, and we had some photos showing the chick fledging out of this nest. And this will be, I think this is featured in Condor Canyon, right, Kelly? The last nesting attempt?
Yes, it is. Actually, I was just mentioning a little bit about Condor Canyon right now, in fact. But yeah, this was one of the shooting locations. Kodama was featured. Really, really great story. I can't wait to share that with everybody.
And with Jade, yeah, that was some great footage that Meredith was able to capture. So yeah, anyway, so when you're watching the cam, this is kind of look for that pattern. They come in and they can sneak in here really quick. So use the cam rewind function, and you can go back and see and check the post on Explore People post when these birds go in and out. All right, pinnacles.
Yeah, so Pinnacle's nests are still going strong, and we have one new one to add from last chat, which is Trio 340 with 889 and 913. So that's two females with male 340, who's kind of the dominant king of pinnacles right now. He's definitely a very famous, noteworthy bird. And again, a very experienced father, has a lot of breeding history, kind of similar to 168. He just lost his mate, 236, who's been missing in the wild since the end of last year. And so it seems like 889 and 913 kind of seized that opportunity to shift focus to him and decide to nest with him last year. Both of those females nested last year with 888, Cedric. And they successfully fledged 1310, who's one of our 9 fledglings from last year. So they are kind of nesting in consecutive years, but just with a different male. But that's pretty cool. So they're a new nest that's due to hatch in like mid-May. And then they did have one nest failure for the trio 692, 726, and 966. Again, that's another trio with 2 females. Both females laid eggs, and one egg was infertile and was pulled from the nest. The other egg was fertile, and they left it for the trio to incubate. But unfortunately, they don't think it ever hatched. So that nest has failed. And it's possible that trio could recycle this year, but I guess from kind of their behavior and stuff, it seems like they're probably not going to this year, just a little bit too late in the season maybe. But both of their other nests that we had talked about last chat are still going strong. So 868 and 931, who are nesting 2 years in a row. They fledged 1275 last year. And this year, their egg is due to hatch in 2 days. So we'll see if it does. And they do have a nest camera set up on that nest. It's one that's kind of outside the nest, pointed at the nest. And so that will enable them to kind of determine, hopefully, if that egg hatches or if it fails or what's going on at that nest. And then 569 and 589 are nesting for the 5th year in a row, which is wild, successfully for the 5th year in a row. And they have an egg pictured on the bottom there. That's 569, the female, as just right after she laid that egg. And that egg is also due to hatch in just a couple more days. So that you can tell that from that photo there that there is also a camera inside that cavity. So biologists will be able to determine if that egg does hatch on or before or near that hatch day of the 30th of April. So pretty exciting. Hopefully by, the next chat, which will be at the end of May, we will have a lot more, hopefully, confirmations of chicks that have hatched. And potentially a few late season nests. You never know. There's still potential. We have had eggs laid in May, so it's still possible.
Good stuff. Missy 340, finding some new mates. We have some outliers here, some potentials. I see Yoko in there.
Yeah. So again, we are getting kind of late in the season. Breeding behavior is starting to die down, but we are still looking at some other birds who are of breeding age or recently reached breeding age, who might still give it a go. So 626, who nested last year with Ninja, and they have their offspring is 1309. Has been seen recently with 914 Pascal, who is also one of 167 and 190's chicks from previous years. They've been hanging out together, seen together a lot, and spending time in 626's territory on the coast together. So we are watching them closely. It doesn't seem like they will nest, but this is a potential new, it seems to be a new pair that we are watching closely. And yeah, might see, even if they don't nest this year, we'll definitely be watching them closely for next year's breeding season and nesting season. And then 1011 Diane, where we don't know if she's really paired with anyone. We haven't seen her with any male or other birds in particular, but she is a breeding age, so we're following her closely for any breeding behavior. And then, of course, 1031 Iniko. We had been seeing her with 718 Apollo. And that could be a potential pair. It's a little wishy-washy. We've seen them together, but they're also kind of doing their own thing still. So probably won't get an egg from Iniko this year, but again, next breeding season could be prime time. And then over at Pinnacles, Condor 1042 Rachel and 888 Cedric have been seen a lot together. And I think even checking out some previous nest sites together too. And so, just we're following them closely. And then 1019 Jane, 1036 Rosalie, and Pinnacles Bird 943 have also all been seen together quite a bit. So yeah, just seeing if anything will come from them too. But yeah, we are reaching the end of breeding season, so maybe next year for most of these birds here, but I don't know, they could surprise us.
Pretty cool to see all those Simeon birds in there, Rachel, Jane.
Yeah, all from that same cohort. Yeah, I mean, Diane, Iniko, Jane, Rosalie, Rachel, they were all, released together.
Apollo. Yeah, and then Pasquale, that was the first Explorer nest cam we did with 167, 190. We still have footage of that. A lot of folks followed that. That was pretty exciting as well. So Pasquale, he's coming of age too. Pretty cool to see all these birds growing up. All right, question time, Mike. Do we have time for questions? We've been
let's just do one or two real quick. Condor girl Stephanie and Bishop wants to know, can a condor survive lead poisoning if it's in colder temperatures, like in a higher elevation where snow is? Do we know how temperature or environment might affect the risk of lead poisoning? Any observations or research on that?
Yeah, I would just think any condition that stresses the bird further would make the lead condition worse. So if you're, it's like when you're sick, if you're in the cold or even extreme heat, extreme heat's bad when birds are lead sick because they're already dehydrated. So it's kind of insult to injury. And the same with cold, they're using a lot more energy to stay warm, and they need that energy to fight off the poison. They're dealing with this, really serious condition that's debilitating them. So I would think any extreme weather condition, whether it's hot or cold, is just going to further tax a sick bird like that, whether it's lead or injured or just emaciated or hungry. It's just it just adds another layer to it.
Yeah. And for you, condor biologists, you have any idea of what Iniko might be doing on her birthday, as to whether it's maybe at Pinnacles, at Big Sur, anything you can share? Now, I noticed nobody's asking, Joe, about what you did on your birthday, but Iniko, what can you tell us?
Fun.
I'm pretty sure Nico was seen on the Condor cam either yesterday or maybe even today. So she hopefully will be finding some good food. I think Darren's going up tonight to put out some fresh carcasses, so she might have a breakfast buffet tomorrow morning.
That's our
So that's
birthday
my best
gift.
guess.
Breakfast brunch.
Yep.
Sounds good. Happy birthday, Iniko. The chat is drawing to a close, but Ventana Wildlife Society is still at work. Darren, I guess you're going up to the sanctuary. Danae and I, we're going out to look for spotted owls as part of a survey. And so the evening is still young. Want to thank all of you for joining us across the country. Kelly has dropped some information in the chat about Condor Canyon. Join us next month, the 29th, to learn more about, I guess, some behind the scenes of Condor Canyon and how you can watch that. And any other announcements, Joe, before we close?
Yeah, if you watch our chats afterwards on YouTube, make sure you like, share, and subscribe them. It helps. And then we also have some really cool Adopt to Condor program going on. Jane put this together, and different adoption levels. And we have these really cool, in honor of Iniko turning 5 years old. You adopt Iniko, you get this really cool, I've seen them, they're these amazing little stickers and fun stuff. So yeah, so please donate and adopt. Iniko's kind of a big deal. I would do it.
Yeah.
And of course, until next time, we'll catch you there. But yeah, May 29th, 2025, we will see you next time and have lots of good stuff to report. And yeah, again, a big happy birthday to Iniko, and thank you everyone for joining us again. Any final words, Kelly?
No, just good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Good night, everyone.